What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. So we have a brother on the channel. He's requesting that I speak about the war fronts, and it's not something that I normally do, but because I don't talk about it because I have to be really knowledgeable about that stuff, and it's something that I have to investigate thoroughly. But I have a general idea about wars in general, and basically, I'll just give my opinion because I do have an eye to see through the lies of the world. So, basically, if we go back into history, we know that I believe that all wars, like the elites want to make you believe that war is something inherent in humans, that man is always going to be fighting against one another, which I think, to some degree, man is can be influenced by evil, right? But I still think that it's the people at the top who are really connected to the devil, who are the ones, they're the ones causing all the wars. They're the ones causing all the conflicts. They create a problem, they fund both sides, and they get them to attack each other. And since they are controlling both sides, once one side destroys the other, they'll just take over everything and they get more power. So it's always like a power grab. And I know that World War II was like a key, how should we say, tactic. It was like a key tool for the powers that be to claim Israel. And that's when it kind of connects to the Jewish people and the Muslims all fighting over that land over there. But as we continue, we see that we know the world is controlled by a small group of people, and they're manipulating everything. And they pretty much created United States, the U.S. And the U.S. has been in so many wars, and basically, if we just go back and we see the Vietnam War, the Vietnam War was just created out of thin air. It was actually based upon a lie. They said that there was a U.S. like sub that was sunk, like a U-boat that was sunk in the ocean near Vietnam, and the U.S. claimed that Vietnam attacked them, it destroyed their sub, and this whole conflict started from that. And then it was like the North versus the South, and eventually I think the North took over the South or something. Basically, the U.S. had to pull out, but the whole war was just for the America to test their military might and to start spraying their chemical Agent Orange, and just some hard facts and truth that the very powerful corporation called Monsanto, they're actually a chemical company, and they were actually the ones who created Agent Orange to spray over, to test on these people. And even now, decades later, they're still dealing with the after effects in their births and stuff. People are born with no eyes. It's so sad. And basically the U.S. was testing all their weapons and stuff, all their military tactics and all their new weapons and stuff, their chemicals. And the funny thing is that it's not funny. It's actually ironic that Monsanto, the chemical company, is actually in charge of managing our food. There's a revolving door that's connected between the presidency and this company, and basically it's like the vice president and the CEO or something of Monsanto. They keep rotating, so you can never really pin them, and they get sued all the time for all their evil things they're doing. But they just pretty much use their money to pay off people, and they're actually in charge of managing our food now. They're actually creating the GMO, the genetically modified foods that we eat. But then now I want to talk about, after that, we got, what other wars we got here? We got, during 9/11, we got the war on terror, and then basically this group, they caused 9/11. It was like an inside job done by the American government, and it was just a big tactic to get the American people to cry out and want revenge, and basically send the American army to rampage across the Middle East and attacking. I think they started attacking innocent countries right away. They were just assuming that some of these countries were part of Afghanistan or something. Afghanistan should have never been attacked. I think if anything, I think I heard Osama bin Laden was in Iraq. But Osama bin Laden was a prince, and he is a prince. He's an elite, and I believe there's a suspicion that he never died. Actually, that they had his body and they on a ship, and some of the people threw it was it wasn't an American ship. It was like another nation that had the body, and they threw the body overboard because they said it was smelling or something, and they took photos, but it looked really fake. So, it's always like in these wars, the people they kill each other, but the people at the top, the kings, they just get arrested basically. They basically just get arrested, and it's like rumors about how Hitler never died. There's those rumors too. I think that could be true as well. But it's like the world's a stage and everything's an illusion. And basically, why the war happened was the Americans, they wanted to basically take over these. Basically, they destroy these Middle East countries and they install their own puppet government. Or they send in agents to destabilize countries, to cause civil wars. So every civil war you see is probably like done in any other countries. That's probably created by like agents from United Kingdom, America, China. They send agents to destabilize countries, right? Powerful nations, right? They send in their agents to go destabilize these other smaller nations, and then as the civil war is happening, they basically take over the country from within. And America, the powers that be, they took control of the oil, all the opium. Then they use that to flood. They take all the opium, they flood the streets. They all these pharmaceutical companies, they use that and they make synthetic drugs and they flood the streets with pills, with drugs to get everyone high and addicted. And also, they installed all their central banks. So if you guys didn't know, that the world is controlled by the people who control these central banks, and it's like a banking system. They control nations through debt, right? So the nations, they borrow debt from these banks. The banks create the money out of thin air, right? And basically, every nation was fighting against these central banks. But then Iran was the last country. Iran was the last country that was holding out. But they got taken over and they got their central bank installed, right? And now we're talking, now if we just look now, we're going to look at we're going to look at the current wars, but there's some things I just want you to know about, that all wars are manipulated. All wars, they're caused. And look, I was clicking on the list of wars. Look, they're so ashamed about how many wars the U.S. has been in that they need to actually put them in little footnotes. I just asked the internet, Google, can you just show me a simple list? And they didn't even want to show it, so you have to have it in these little notes here. But I clicked on this one. It leads to this one. Damn, there's just so many wars. But look, we can even see, United States, the Afghan Taliban. Look, United States, they've created the freaking Taliban. They created Al-Qaeda. They train them. They train these people. So it's like it's all a show. Like, I don't want to get too deep into wars because it's just manipulation from all sides. Like, example, the current wars with right now, all these nations, I think all these Muslim nations are attacking Israel. And even the U.S. is, I think all these countries they're going against Israel, right? And Israel, they're fighting for the land. And again, it's something that I don't know too much about, but it's something that I've heard about I live in the North America in Canada. I live in Canada. And basically, I know that the Bible predicts that all nations are going to go against Israel. This is Zechariah 14. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Is this old or new? Let's go back. But I know there's a prophecy that nations will be going against Israel, and that the dome, there's a temple, the golden dome, or the dome of the rock or something. It's like a temple that has to be destroyed in prophecy. Once that dome, it's like a Muslim temple, and once that temple goes down, the Jewish people are going to rebuild the temple. And it's like, that's where they're going to rebuild a throne, and that's where the Antichrist will sit. But again, it's something that I just want to mention, right? That's something that prophecy is picking up. And again, there's I believe the world is controlled by a group of people, basically a group of Jewish people, and they're working with other people, other nations too, but they network through secret societies. But the Jewish people, not all of them are following these other people who control their nation. There's a lot of good God-loving people in Israel, and we have to remember that Israelites, they're God's chosen people, and they're to be protected, right? Remember what I said, that if everything, we have to go through evil. So if there are some people in that country that are perpetuating everything, it has to be that way. It has to be that way. And like I do believe that there's a real conflict happening in the Middle East, like with Israel and with on the Gaza Strip, because they're fighting over the land that they took a long time ago, right? But should people continue to fight over the land? Should we just let move away and let? I know it's easier said than done, but I really wish I had power to help people more, you know. But now let's talk about this Ukraine war. This Ukraine war, I think is fake, man. I think this whole Ukraine war, it's a show. Because back in the day, these elites, they had to basically cause a war, right? Cause a real conflict and cause wars to kill each other. But now, with technology so good, they can actually just use their Hollywood tricks and actually just fake a war. So what I believe is that Russia, Ukraine, they're basically working together and they're basically causing a conflict to divert attention, to deflect about the powers that be are doing things behind the scenes, and they always cause like news to kind of have us focus on it. Example, it's even small things like celebrities breaking up and so on, celebrity relationships. They get people to focus on things like that, or drama with sports, or fake news when they're doing stuff behind the scenes. So you have to kind of be aware of that type of stuff. It's always like, you have to think of the big picture. What are these elites? What are they trying to get us to think or do? Like when you watch the news, I don't watch the mainstream news because I believe the mainstream news are liars. They use the news to lie, and they use the media, they use movies, video games, and TV shows to show some truth and deflect, right? But they use the news to tell us lies. And basically, they basically get both these countries, Russia and Ukraine, to cordon off areas and tell the citizens to evacuate. And then they start shooting some buildings, making some explosions. But we can see they have all these, like, this is like guys, this is a day of modern cameras. We have technology. How come in none of these videos I never see any guy point a gun at someone and shoot them fucking in the face? Pardon my language, but I'm sorry for my anger, guys. I'm working on that. God is telling me to be less angry. I know that as a proper follower of God, as a proper man of God, as a proper follower of Christ, that I have to be tempered. And it's something I have to work on. I'll explain that in another video. But basically, we're going to click here and just watch.
With an FN fall,
we're going to just see how real this is. I never see anyone shoot anyone. It's all like fake. It's like a big Hollywood show.
The fighter joins
These guys are always
at the
calm.
MG3 position and begins sending aim shots with his rifle downrange toward the Russian positions.
And like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is something I sense, and I just have, for me, I have to see it with my own eyes to believe it. Like I'm one of those people that you could tell me something and I don't care what you tell me. I have to physically see the evidence to believe it, and I'm just not seeing enough evidence in these videos of a real war, a real conflict. It just seems like they're just doing a show.
The battle the men are currently engaged in can clearly be measured by the level of the combat noise and the high volume of fire.
Sorry. And sorry if there's an echo.
All of a sudden, a huge blast shakes the area.
Okay, I want to show you this part here.
The men, however, remain calm and composed, a clear sign that this was
calm and composed, because a clear sign because
not their first rodeo.
This is not their first. Okay, but let's just check the guy down there. He was smiling.
However, remain calm and composed.
Watch.
A clear sign that
this guy's smiling. This guy's smiling.
This was.
Why is this guy smiling if he's in a fucking war?
Certainly not
ridiculous, guys. Ridiculous. I don't believe in this garbage. Look at that. Let's look at that again.
However, remain calm and composed. A clear sign that
this guy's smiling.
This was
this guy's
certainly
laughing.
not their first rodeo.
This is probably like very high quality airsoft or something.
He is not intimidated by the Russian attack and continues to respond with controlled, precise shots. Shortly after, the MG3 joins in and resumes firing in controlled bursts.
I would be going full auto. Hardcore. They don't shoot enough, man. I would be fucking going.
The Brazilian fighter now shifts position to cover a different field of fire.
Let's see, do they kill anyone? Does anyone visually die? Let's see.
MG3 machine guns have seen extensive use in the Serovian
Oh look, they're just switching to another camera.
As shown here in this helmet camera footage from the perspective of a Ukrainian machine gunner. The MG3 is generally reliable when well maintained, but comparative testing has shown it is not the most forgiving design under extreme conditions. Fine sand, mud, or lack of lubrication can cause feeding issues in any machine gun, but the MG3's recoil-operated mechanism, with its tight roller lock tolerances, may be somewhat less. Italian license-built variant of the.
Okay, so where are the people dying? Like, I want to see someone get fucking
Hi, my
destroyed.
name is Alina, and I would like you to give
Pardon
me
me.
a few reasons why you
Forgive me,
should
I don't want to see anyone
look
die,
into
but you know what I mean. I want to
translating.
see the evidence. Let's see the evidence.
The same is true here, where an MG3 fire team sets up a shaky base of fire to engage Russian positions, through its doorway and windows. The presence of Russian forces in the building is confirmed.
Let's see. Do they show anyone getting killed? Let's see.
Russian
This is the
forces
question.
inside and the men's limited firepower on the outside, they have little choice but to clear the building from within.
It was so calm.
Inside the building, the troops have to contend with low visibility and cramped conditions as they attempt to get to the enemy. Once again, a grenade is the preferred weapon of choice. But before that, one of the legionnaires asks for confirmation of enemy contact again.
Did you get contact?
I could have swore I saw a cigarette.
That's because, unlike the Russians, the men must make sure there are no civilians in the house.
Throw another grenade.
Grenade!
The grenade is thrown, and the men storm deeper into the house.
Ah! Shoot! I got it! And then...
But he should.
Clearing a house is a dangerous process that is both time and manpower intensive. To secure the assault, additional security elements are usually required to take up positions outside the building, protecting the storming soldiers.
I've seen enough, guys. I've seen enough. I'm just gonna make a comment here. Wow, so much footage, so many cameras, modern tech, and we never see anyone die. Makes you think. Right? Okay, guys, thank you for watching. God bless you and your families. Peace.